Hello and welcome back. Today I wanted to shoot a brief video about contact flow, specifically as it relates to contact saber. Now within the lightsaber world, this is something that's a little bit fringe. A lot of people think about lightsabers as like a 10-inch metal hilt. The blade that comes off of it usually weighs very little, so all the weight is in the hilt itself. Contact flow is something that comes out of the staff community mostly. So a contact staff is the same thing as like a regular staff or a bow staff, except generally speaking, there's weight on both sides. That creates a point of balance in the middle where the weight on both sides is equally distributed and you can balance it. And there's a sweet spot, which is the area around that point of balance where movement is still kind of slow. So roundabout in here. Now, the manipulation of that point of balance and sweet spot in contact flow is the idea that you can move this around your body without having to actually grab it. You can keep it on the back of your hand, you can roll it up and down your arms, you can roll it around your body, you can wrap it around your neck, and you can do things with it without actually having to grab and hold the staff. So contact staffs, by putting a little bit more weight on both sides, it increases the length of that sweet spot in the middle where you can manipulate the staff without actually having to grab it. The idea of contact saber is that idea translated onto a sword. So it's like a staff, except only one end is the business end, and the other end is counterweighted so that it still has that sweet spot. In order to make this happen, the saber has to be longer than a typical lightsaber. Now, there's some theories out there about where this came from, but you can't really own or say that this is anybody's idea. Basically, you're dealing with a stick with a point of balance in the middle of it, and at some point, people decided to say, okay, well, what if we create a sword like that? And there are videos online of people using real swords. This is a fire sword from Dark Monk is the name of the company that makes this, but you see this silicone-coated counterweight right here, a rather long handle. And then this up here is a Kevlar wick that gets lit on fire. It's designed to be manipulated in and around this point of balance right here. All right, so we've had these in fire arts or circus arts for quite a while, but they're a fairly new adaptation into lightsabers. There's a few makers out there making these things, and then there's also sort of homebrew options. This right here was the first one that I had, and this was actually made in-house. I made this one. It was made by off of a design that was come up with by a guy named Ryan Riff Parks. I'm not going to say too much about him because I don't have too many nice things to say, but I will say that this was basically a design where he said, well, what if you take a blade stock and you put some bicycle grips on it? Right, this is nothing that you can patent because it's a stick with bicycle grips with a point of balance in the middle and some washers stuck in the end there and a flashlight in the middle of it. But this was what he called the Whey Lighter, and it's a very light, affordable, easy to come by contact flow saber. All right, there are other nicer models out there. This right here is from Saberflux Workshops. Christian Castro is a really good guy who designs these things. And you'll notice some stark similarities between this and this. He actually made it kind of based off of this Dark Monk fire sword design. But what he's done is he's added an aluminum machined pommel here, or emitter rather here, carbon fiber shaft, counterweighted pommel, lightsaber blade, so that it brings that into this world. Now this is a rather high-end design with really nice parts in it. It's rechargeable, but again, it's got that point of balance marked right here. All right. This right here is a Bendu Armory saber. This is a homebrew. So anything that can be a staff can be turned into a contact saber. If you have two lightsaber hilts that fit together as a staff, as long as they're weighted appropriately, you can actually do contact moves with them. Bendu Armory offered these brass counterweights that I put in there, that they put in this for me. This is their Adamite staff. Smooth edges, no activation boxes, so I can roll it along my body. Nothing's going to cut me or catch. But in order to turn a lightsaber staff into a contact saber, what I had to do was replace one of the blades with a counterweight. Okay, this is actually a weighty rubber dog toy that glows in the dark that I put on the end of a chunk of lightsaber blade and wrapped in clear self-adhesive silicone tape, right? But it counterbalances the blade, moves the point of balance back into the middle so that I can do contact moves with this thing. So contact swords, if you ever see anybody out there doing things where they're taking a lightsaber or a fire sword, one of the primary moves that we do is called an angel roll, where you pop it up out of this hand, roll it down over your head and to your other hand, or even just a simple neck wrap, where you take the saber, wrap it around your neck, and catch it over here. Those sorts of things are very difficult to do with a hilt that's this long because there is no sweet spot. You make a longer hilt like this, you end up with a sweet spot, you end up with the ability to manipulate it, and you end up with the ability to do counter or contact moves. So contact lightsaber is a specific style of lightsaber that uses these longer lightsaber or fire saber blades and allows you to do moves where you're rolling it around your body. You can modify your own sabers, as I mentioned. You can make your own sabers, or you can get something that's custom and or custom made by people who know what they're doing, that's designed for that sort of work. The other thing about contact work is contact sabers are going to be dropped. It's going to happen. The second that you let go of that saber while it's rolling on your body, before you master a trick, you're going to drop it dozens, if not hundreds of times. Something like this homebrew right here, these parts are all plastic. This thing falls apart sometimes when I drop it, but it's not going to break. Okay, this one from Saber Flux. This is a 3D printed rubber end here, so this thing bounces. This is carbon fiber, it's not going to break. The tip of it has some silicone self-adhesive tape here as well, so that's not going to break. So most of the time if you drop it, it's going to hit here and here. It does ding up the emitter here a little bit if you drop it a few times, but contact sabers need to be designed to be dropped. Something like a homebrew, like this Bendu Armory one right here, this is something that you'd switch to after you were pretty sure of your moves and you knew that you could pull them off, because you don't, this can take the drop, but it's heavier, and there's going to be more wear and tear on the blade. You don't want to learn with this, but you can transfer to something like this because it looks a whole lot more like a lightsaber than this does. All right, now that said, these lightsaber designs with these extra long hilts are not exactly not Star Wars. If you look in Star Wars legends, characters like Darth Nil have lightsabers that are extra long like that. Darth Plagueis actually had a lightsaber that was extra, or with a hilt that was more or less a pike. All right, so longer lightsaber handles are a thing within Star Wars, but mostly when you're dealing with contact work, you're looking at something that's going to take you away from the Star Wars universe and into the Flow Prop Arts universe. So there's a cost. You sacrifice a little bit of form for a little bit of function. All right, so hopefully this has been a good introduction to what contact flow is for you guys and contact saber. Shows you a few of the options from homebrew to very well, they're professionally designed, to adapted from existing parts. All right, I will be reviewing this saber a little bit later down the road, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you back next time.